Let us discuss absorption and conduction of water and minerals. As you all know, we also need food, we also need water, we also need minerals for carrying out our life processes. Similar is the case with plants. Plants also need water and minerals for carrying out their life processes. So this absorption and conduction of water and minerals involves these basic 5 phenomena. Okay, we have imbibition, diffusion, osmosis, active transport, turgidity and flaccidity. Here I would say turgidity and flaccidity is also known as plasmolysis. Okay, so it is known as plasmolysis. Remember this. So here we are going to discuss the basics of these 5 phenomena which are involved in the absorption and conduction of water and minerals throughout the plant. You can imagine that plants are going to absorb water from the soil. You all know this. And how that water is going to reach each and every part of the plant. Plants are going to absorb minerals from the soil. How these minerals are going to reach each and every part of the plant. So these processes are involved in the absorption and conduction of this water and these minerals. So we'll discuss these processes one by one. As you can see, the first process is imbibition, then we have diffusion, then we have osmosis, active transport, turgidity and flaccidity, which is also known as plasmolysis. We'll discuss one by one. We'll give a brief overview of what imbibition, diffusion, osmosis, active transport and plasmolysis is. Okay, let's start with imbibition. You must have noticed that during rainy season, the wooden doors get swell up. You know, there is some sort of swelling, and that swelling is the result of the process. We can say that is imbibition. The wood is actually absorbing water and the door becomes swollen at those regions. So that swelling, because of the absorption of water on the surface, is known as imbibition. For example, you all know that your mother soaks beans overnight. Why we soak beans overnight? Because they are going to absorb water and the tissue is going to become more tender, more soft. So that absorption of water at the surface, from the surface of the cell, that is known as imbibition. For example, we talk about raisins. You know what are raisins? When you are going to keep these raisins in water, you soak it for a few minutes, you will see after some time they are going to swell up. If the size of raisins was initially like this, after some time they are what? They are going to swell up. Why they are going to swell up? Because they are going to absorb water from their surface through a process known as imbibition. Now this imbibition can be in case of living cells also or in case of dead cells also. So living or dead cells both can show this process, that is imbibition, means absorption actually from the surface. So the cells can be living or they can be dead also. So remember just the basic concept that the absorption of water from the surface is known as imbibition, and in daily day-to-day life you can see that the wooden doors or the wood, sometimes when you keep it, when it comes in contact with water, it is going to absorb water, and that region of that wooden piece or your wooden door becomes swollen after some time because it is going to absorb water. So this process of absorbing water in this manner is actually imbibition. Now why this imbibition is there? You can make out that in case of plants we have two important components, that is starch, cellulose. So this starch and cellulose has an ability to absorb water. So normally most of the plant cells contain starch and cellulose. So this starch and cellulose have a tendency to absorb water from the surface. That is why this process of absorbing water from the surface, because of the presence of starch and cellulose in plant cells, is termed as imbibition. So imbibition is nothing but just absorption of water from the surface. This can take place in living cells also or in case of dead cells also. Why this happens? Because most of the plant cells contain starch and cellulose as the major components, and the starch and cellulose present in this plant cells have a tendency to absorb water. So this absorption is known as imbibition. Next we move on to the second phenomena, that is diffusion. When I talk about diffusion, you already know that whenever we have molecules at a higher concentration on one side and we don't have such concentration on the other side. So here we have high concentration and here we have low concentration of this solute molecules. When I am going to remove this barrier, what is going to happen? This solute molecules are going to move from high concentration to low concentration. So the movement of these molecules from high concentration to low concentration randomly, this process is known as diffusion. So remember, in diffusion the movement is from high concentration to low concentration. Okay, so the movement of particles or molecules from high concentration to low concentration is known as diffusion. Where the particles are more in number, that region is the region of high concentration. Where the particles are less in number, that region is the region of their low concentration. So the movement is from high concentration to what? To low concentration. So this process is known as diffusion, and this is randomly. This is a random movement. So remember, in case of diffusion also we can say that if you have bigger particles, means the particle size of that solute is bigger, the movement will be quite slow. For example, if you take a beaker and in that beaker we put in some ink and we have water. Slowly and slowly it will take time for the ink to move from this region of high concentration to this region of low concentration. Why? Because the particle size of ink, or you can say, we can also talk about potassium permanganate crystals, violet colored crystals. So when we'll be putting those crystals in water, they are eventually going to take some time, and then the whole water shows the color of potassium permanganate crystal, that is violet color. So this is a slow movement in case of bigger particles. So diffusion is the process in which the particles move from the region of their high concentration to a region of their low concentration randomly. Okay, so this diffusion is also involved in the absorption and conduction of water and minerals in case of plants. Next process, next phenomena that involves absorption and conduction of water and minerals is osmosis. Now what is this osmosis? Supposingly we have a cell, you know that cell has a cell wall, and then we have a membrane, you can say plasma membrane. This plasma membrane is a semi-permeable membrane. Now what is the semi-permeability? Semi-permeability means it will allow only a few particles to move across it. So this semi-permeable membranes allow only water molecules to pass through it. Supposingly I can draw here, supposingly we have a semi-permeable membrane. Why I am showing it in terms of a dotted line? Because this is going to allow few particles but not all particles. So for example, if we have particle size of this which can actually cross this membrane, so it means that this membrane is permeable to these particles. So mostly remember, water molecules can pass through this membrane, otherwise the bigger molecules, for example if we talk about sugar molecules or salt molecules, so they cannot pass through the semi-permeable membrane. So osmosis is the movement of water molecules from the region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. Please understand the concept in detail. When I talk about from the region of high concentration, I am talking about the region of high concentration of water molecules. So it means more dilute solution is there, this is going to lead to a region of high concentration of water molecules. So wherever the water molecules are large in number, that is the region of their high concentration. Means from dilute solution to a concentrated solution, the movement of water molecules from a dilute solution to a more concentrated solution is known as osmosis, and here one important factor is the presence of this semi-permeable membrane. This semi-permeable membrane actually allows only water molecules to pass through it, and these membranes can be of many types. You can talk about cellophane membrane, you can talk about egg membranes or parchment membranes. These are semi-permeable membranes because they're just going to allow this water molecules to pass through them. Okay, so osmosis is the movement of what? It is a movement of water molecules from their region of high concentration, which is actually a more dilute solution, to a region of their low concentration, which is actually a more concentrated solution. So for example, here I have shown water, and for example, if there are water molecules, more of water molecules on this side, and on this side we have less water molecules and more of these salt or sugar molecules which are larger in size, you can make out the water is going to flow from this side, from a region of its higher concentration. Where the water molecules are more, this solution is what? This is dilute solution, and this is at high concentration. Okay, it is going to move from this side to this side. Why? Because the movement of water molecules is from their higher concentration, from a dilute solution to a region of their low concentration to a concentrated solution in the presence of a semi-permeable membrane is known as osmosis. Next we move on to the next phenomena, that is active transport. Now active transport is actually opposite to diffusion. In diffusion we have said that the movement of particles is from high concentration to low concentration, but in case of active transport we can make out the opposite of it. You know, it is a movement of ions. We are dealing with ions. For example, there are nitrates. Okay, I can write an example. For example, if you talk about nitrate ions, so it is a movement of ions, nitrates ions and many other ions from what? From low concentration to a region of high concentration, and in case of living cells only using ATP. So remember that active transport needs ATP, means it needs energy. ATP is the energy currency of the cell. So this active transport deals with the transfer or transport of ions from the region of their low concentration to region of their higher concentration, and it takes place only in case of living cells. It also uses ATP, means energy, because ATP is the energy currency of the cell. You all know that in case of root hairs we have certain cells, and in case of plant cells you all know that there is a big vacuole. Okay, and on the side we have a nucleus and other organelles. I am just making out it roughly. So we have a big vacuole. In this vacuole a solution called cell sap is there. A solution called cell sap is there, and this cell sap contains what? It contains dissolved ions, or you can say dissolved salts actually. So because this cell sap, which is a solution present in the vacuole, contains dissolved salts, it is at what? It is at high concentration. Okay, it is at high concentration, and outside this is low concentration of these salts and minerals. So what is going to happen? The active transport phenomena is going to use energy from the living cells, and the region in the cell sap, since it is at high concentration and the outside region is at low concentration, the water and mineral absorption is going to take place, and from the outer side they are going to move to the inner side of the cell. This is how active transport is taking place, but it utilizes what? It utilizes ATP, that is energy. ATP is the energy currency of the cell. So remember how active transport is different from diffusion. In case of active transport there is a movement of ions, okay, from low concentration to high concentration. But in case of diffusion the movement is from high concentration to low concentration. So active transport is utilizing energy, it needs energy. But in case of diffusion there is no energy utilization, there is no energy needed. So active transport takes place in living cells, it uses ATP, and there is flow of ions from the region of their low concentration to a region of high concentration. As I told you that in case of a plant cell, there is a big vacuole, and this vacuole contains a solution of what? Solution of cell sap. This cell sap contains dissolved salts. So what happens actually? Outside of the cell has low concentration of this salts, and the cell sap has this dissolved salt due to which is at high concentration from the outer side. So since this is a movement from low concentration to high concentration, so the minerals or the salts are going to move from the outer side to the inner side of the cell, and this is going to use what? Energy, that is in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. ATP is the energy currency of the cell. Next we move on to next phenomena, that is turgidity and flaccidity. It is also known as plasmolysis. What happens? We all have discussed this osmosis, and also we have discussed diffusion in detail. So what is going to happen? For example, I have a plant cell and I am going to put this plant cell in fresh water. So we have a plant cell and we are going to put this plant cell in what? In fresh water, and next we have a solution, that is salt solution, and we are going to put a cell in a salt solution. Okay. So in case of fresh water and in case of salt solution, what is going to happen? In case of fresh water, the cell is going to be what? It is going to be turgid. In case of fresh water, the cell is going to be turgid, means it is going to take water from outside and the water is going to come inside of the cell, maintaining its rigidity, stiffness, and the cell now becomes what? Turgid. Okay. But in case of salt water, there is shrinkage of the protoplast. How it will happen? You know, the cell wall is there to maintain the shape of the cell, but the protoplast is going to shrink, and this protoplast is going to leave this cell wall and it gets shrunken. Why this happens? Because now in this case we have what? We have a salt water, and this salt water is what? It is at high concentration, means it's a concentrated solution. So water is going to come out from the inside of the cell, and this water, when it comes out, leads to the shrinkage of this protoplast. So this is known as what? It is known as flaccid cell. This is flaccidity. Now this phenomenon is also known as plasmolysis. Okay, so remember that in the case of absorption and conduction of water and minerals, 5 phenomena are involved: imbibition, diffusion, osmosis, active transport, turgidity and flaccidity. In case of imbibition, there is simple absorption of water from the surface. As you know that starch and cellulose are present in plant cells, they have a tendency to absorb water. So it can be in living cells also or in dead cells also. In case of diffusion, the movement of solute particles is from the region of the high concentration to the region of low concentration. Bigger the particle, slow is the movement. Then we talk about osmosis. It is the movement of water molecules only. Why? Because we have a semi-permeable membrane, and this membrane allows only the movement of water molecules from a region of their higher concentration, means from a dilute solution where there are more water molecules to a region of concentrated solution where there are less water molecules. This is known as osmosis. Then we move on to active transport. This deals with the movement or the transport of ions, for example nitrate ions, from the region of the low concentration to a region of high concentration, and this process of active transport needs what? Energy in the form of ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. And you all know that we have cell sap, which is a solution present in the vacuole of the plant cell. It has dissolved salt, that is why it is at high concentration. So the movement will be from outside to the inner side of the cell in case of root hairs, and this requires what? It requires ATP. Now this active transport is the opposite of diffusion. Remember, next we have turgidity and flaccidity. When we are going to keep a plant cell in fresh water, it is going to gain water because the water is at what? It is at high concentration. In case of osmosis, you see, because it's a plant cell, We have plasma membrane also, which is what? It is an example of semi-permeable membrane. So the osmosis process will be followed. The movement will be from dilute solution to a concentrated solution. So in case of fresh water, we have a more dilute solution on the outer side of the cell, and this is going to move inwards, and this will result in a turgid cell which is more stiff, and this is known as turgidity. Then in the next case, if we put that same cell in salt water, it is going to lose water, because now the outside salt water is at what? It is at high concentration. Now it is a concentrated solution. So water is going to move out from the cell, and the cell is going to shrink. The protoplast of the cell, this living material, is going to shrink, and the membrane is going to leave the cell wall. This is known as flaccidity, or you can say plasmolysis. So remember that these 5 phenomena are basically involved with absorption and conduction of water and minerals, imbibition, diffusion, osmosis, active transport.